Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Welcome to the broadcast. We're so excited to have our friend Neufeld here with us. Hello. Good morning. Wow, what a week it's been. I know you said that there was one night when you couldn't sleep because there was so much going on.
I mean, I was supposed to come on and talk about the Zimmerman trial, right?
Yeah.
And the ongoing shenanigans going on in Florida. But it's like the legal gods just opened up this week and was like,
they did.
That's right.
And there's so much going on this week. It's amazing. It's unprecedented.
It's
really
like your version of Fashion Week.
It's like Super Bowl for lawyers. Because we're like, oh my
It's like
God.
lawyer porn.
Absolutely. Exactly. We get way too excited about these things. So.
Let's start with the Supreme Court rulings and what they mean. And you know, when I was watching after they basically shot down the Defense of Marriage Act, there were a lot of conflicting arguments or opinions from different attorneys that were on different channels. Was the entire thing thrown out or just parts of it?
Okay, so the Supreme Court came out with a bunch of rulings this week, and there are a couple of them that are really important. And one of those is what people are referring to as the DOMA case, or maybe even the Prop 8 case. They kind of go together. And what these two cases are basically, and what happened, the DOMA case, Defense of Marriage Act, was passed back in 1996 and
by Bill Clinton, which I think is surprising.
A bipartisan Congress, okay? So a lot of people supported this bill that defined marriage between a man and a woman. So what ended up happening is you've got states now who are legalizing and recognizing same-sex marriages, right? And then you've got federal law that says, but wait a minute, we've defined it between a man and a woman. So a woman who had gotten married to her partner in a legally recognized state, her partner ends up passing away. So next thing you know, she's getting a $360,000 estate tax bill from the IRS because the IRS didn't recognize her as a surviving spouse. So that's where the challenge came from. And what the Supreme Court basically said in DOMA is you can't do that. This violates her right to have her liberties protected, basically.
And she was married in a state in which it was legal.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing, though. So they recognize that in the states that do recognize it, they can continue to do so, and the federal government can't then come in and treat those citizens differently. So.
Yeah. Do you think that this is will have ramifications for other things that certain states recognize? The only thing that comes to mind that's controversial is like the legalization of marijuana in California, in Colorado. The federal government still says no. Will cases be made, and will they use this ruling as evidence to make their case?
I think there's a good possibility, but we've got a long-standing tradition in this country that generally we like states to do what they are going to do.
States' rights.
Right, okay? We want them to be able to regulate what's going on in their town and not keep inserting our paws in it. But I certainly think we're going to see some challenges because there is federal and state law that we're finding that are conflicting, and anytime there's a conflict like that, there are going to be constitutionality issues that are going to come up. So, and then, of course, coupled with the DOMA case was Prop 8, the Prop 8 case out of California, where they legalized and recognized same-sex marriages. Then the voters passed this proposition that said, no, we're not going to recognize these.
They basically overruled the state's ruling.
Correct. And so a couple same-sex couples challenged it. They won at the trial court level where they said, yes, this is unconstitutional. And what the Supreme Court basically did, and this is interesting, the Supreme Court didn't necessarily decide the constitutionality of the issue. They basically said the people who brought this appeal don't have standing, so we can't hear this case. The people who actually challenged the rule were the proponents of the bill that passed. Okay, and the court saying you can't bring this case because you're not being harmed by this, so we're not going to decide it.
But they upheld the ruling, the lower court ruling, right?
They didn't, not necessarily, because they won't rule on the case. The trial court ruling that it is unconstitutional stands, which means legal same-sex marriages are legal today in the state of California.
So why would they have even taken it to the Supreme Court if they had a ruling already where they won, basically?
Right.
Well, you got to look at who was challenging it. It was the proponents of the bill. The state of California could have come in and said, well, we're going to appeal this decision that it's unconstitutional, but they didn't. The state of California was like, we're okay with this. You had the proponents of the bill come in and try and appeal it to the Supreme Court, and it got there, and the Supreme Court was like, nope, we can't talk about this. So what's awesome is they're recognizing that same-sex marriages can be legal in states. They're not saying it is in general. So that's what a lot of people were hoping they would do, is rule on this and say same-sex marriages are constitutionally protected, and they didn't necessarily say that. So that's why both sides are kind of claiming victory
Right,
here.
so this is going to be something where each state, as they approve it, and cases come against it, each state is going to have to go, each case is going to have to go in front of the Supreme Court.
And it'll get there eventually, and they're going to have to make that decision. But the DOMA decision actually gives states more legal basis to come up with their laws that legalize same-sex marriages so that they are recognized. And there are 13 states right now that do so. And I actually heard a statistic that in general, it's about 52% of people approve same-sex marriages. And for people under the age of 30, it's about 81%.
You know what's interesting, too, speaking of statistics, I also read that of the states that do approve that it is legal, same-sex marriage is legal, the divorce rate is about 20% lower than other states.
Isn't that interesting?
Massachusetts being the first one that approved it back in 2007, and they have now the lowest divorce rate in the country. So it's interesting to make that connection.
I want to talk about Wendy Davis for a minute.
And I have to just thank you real quick for putting everything in like layman's terms for us here at the broadcast.
Why we love having you.
Really, I sit and I soak everything up that you're sitting here saying, just like, okay, it's okay.
And there's a lot. And
you're speaking in Courtney language.
Listen, and people should be interested because these things affect us all. You know what I mean?
Well, they affect every issue because, like I was saying, they can use this ruling now. Somebody can use this ruling to make an argument on something else that they find unconstitutional. So,
absolutely.
So Wendy Davis. So what were you
Let's talk about the comments that Rick Perry made.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, you're going,
Well, I am, because
Rick Perry virtually stated that Wendy Davis, who was raised by a single parent and became a teenage mother and has risen up and done everything, and that was all great until he said, if he had just said that, and that was factual, if he had just said that, but then he had to go in for the lesson and do a personal attack, which was just unbelievable. If he just stated the fact, we would have all gotten that message.
What he said was, and what he said, if you didn't see it, was, it's too bad that she didn't learn from basically
her own
what
example.
And he didn't need to say that.
No.
We could have all had our own thoughts.
Yeah, and I always say as a lawyer, when you're arguing points back and forth, the second you get personal, it's because you know you're losing. So the second you attack someone personally for what they're doing and not keep it on the merits and the facts.
The facts. Just stick to the facts and let the people judge. Why do we think we have to show people that they're so stupid we have to tell them how to think?
I'll tell you this much, though. What was interesting about all that stuff that transpired the other night in the live stream, did you guys think about what happened in legislatures before we had access to live stream video? And we could watch as it was happening. Would we have known that the vote happened at 12:02, that it was registered in log, that it happened on the 26th, and people did screenshots to show you that they changed it to say that it was actually taken on the 25th?
Well, and also all the people that came out, do we really believe that that wasn't pre-planned just in case?
Hey, listen.
Well, I'm sure it was.
I honestly think that that was social media. I think people saw what was happening, and
they jump on the bandwagon.
They literally got in the car and drove to the Capitol.
I saw some of the crowd, and I wondered how many really were social media people. I just think that one thing about the Democrats is that they mount their troops together. You know what I'm saying?
Don't make us mad.
I know what you're saying. Our troops together, and we go out there and force.
So do Republicans.
Republicans don't do that.
So do Tea Party people. So everybody gets their group together when
I
they
am
can.
married
Not
to a
like the
Republican.
Democrats. And I'm praising the Democrats.
Well, it's good. You want people to be socially active, and you want people to mobilize when things are bothering them. And from a legislative process, the people were heard the other night. And I think people are going to take notice
But not
of that.
all the people were. Just the Democrats who came to support her. The others didn't come out.
Well,
so,
then,
you can't make
You know
that
why they
statement.
felt like they didn't need to? Because you've got the votes already there. You know it's going to go in your favor, so why come out?
So Don,
absolutely.
We need to take a commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk about how the governor's called another session and what this means, and can she filibuster again? Will they allow the public in again? All those sorts of questions. We're going to talk that and the Zimmerman trial. There's a lot going on this week that you need to know about. We're back in a moment.
I want to talk about fun.
We will. We're going to do